Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. 2022 is nearly done, and we're about to hit 2023. So I wanted to do a Palantir recap in general. I'm sorry that I'm in my car. My studio is nearly done, but I can't record there just yet. I promise you I'm going to have so much better content and quality when it comes to 2023. Palantir, currently trading at $6.42 a share. It is down 65%, and the NASDAQ is only down 33%. So the question is, wow, Palantir really sucks and it underperforms everybody else. And to this, I'm going to say to an extent, Palantir underperformed the NASDAQ by a big extent. And to an extent, it underperformed, but it actually overperformed other companies that you might have heard of. So now you can say, Adam, well, what are you talking about? That doesn't really make sense. Let me give you a quick comparison because it's so easy for people to be like, yo, Palantir sucks. Palantir is down 65%, da-da-da. Without taking into account that huge traditional mega cap companies that are considered to be top of the line companies are also down, most of them significantly higher than the NASDAQ is down as well. So let's go down the list really fast. Amazon down 50%. Meta down 65%. Apple, they did pretty good, 27%. Microsoft, pretty good, only 30% down. Google, 40%. And Tesla, 65%. Just to put it in perspective, let's compare Palantir to a couple of its peers. Snowflake, also down 57%. C3AI down 66%. And Datadog is down 59%. Now I can go down the list and give you a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen more companies that are going to be very comparable to Palantir. Now, I'm not going to sit here and argue, oh, 57%, 65%, 66%, 60%, they all freaking suck. The point is, these companies that I just mentioned, for the most part, when there's a run-up, there's a freaking run-up. And when there's a drop, there's a massive freaking drop. Now, I know that Apple held pretty good and Microsoft held pretty good. But other than that, even these huge companies also got massive dumps. So let's put a little bit in perspective when a lot of, YouTubers and a lot of critics of Palantir are like, oh, Palantir sucks, Palantir sucks. Well, you could say that about all of these companies if you really wanted to. Let's talk about a couple of other things with Palantir. I got this data, the next 4 things I'm going to say, from Arnie Investing. Arnie Investing, he has a great YouTube channel. Definitely check him out. I'm going to link him down below. And he has an amazing Substack that he sends out. Besides for Arnie Investing, Ether Squared also has an amazing Substack. I'm going to link both of them in the bottom of the description. You guys should definitely check them out. They're both pillars of the community. Let's go back to the Substack from Arnie. I hope he doesn't mind me taking this information. Clients, 337 versus 203 last year. Last 12 months trailing revenue, which means since we don't have the full year, we're going to go by until now, 12 months earlier. Currently 1.8 billion versus 1.4 billion last year. Top 20 clients, $48 million worth of value, average contract, while top 20 clients last year was 41 million. Quarter 3, 2022, we closed with $1.3 billion worth of deals. Yeah, Palantir grew year over year around that 30% mark. I think just a little bit lower, 29%. Don't quote me off the top of my head. Let's showcase a couple of things that Palantir did good with contracts that they closed. Now, I'm going to name a couple of contracts. Some of these contracts are going to be very repetitive. And you might say, well, Adam, how can they close so many contracts with the same agency? And again, I'm just giving you a sample, just a couple of the contracts. And the answer is Palantir starts working with an agency or a corporation, military, non-military, whatever, abroad, domestically. They start small and then they expand. And I have many videos about this. I actually have a really cool video with the NIH where I show you where they started and then they expanded. If you guys want to check this out, click on the link right here. CDC, $443 million contract. The United States Army, $59 million contract. Also the United States Army, $99.9 million contract. Also with the United States Army, $229 million contract. Also with the U.S. Army, $10 million contract. $8 million contract with the NIH, and a $65 million contract with the NIH. And they closed a $90 million contract with the HHS. HHS is like the NIH of England. NIH, National Institute of Health. HHS is Human Health Services. And they closed a very important contract with the United Kingdom's UK military to modernize them. 75 million pounds, which I believe is like 90 something million, close to $100 million contract. So these are really, really massive contracts. And as I said, this is just a small sample of the amount of contracts that we locked up. We locked up a total of 337 different clients. This was like a handful, right? Like 10 contracts or so off the top of my head. And it's very, very important to see that we get multiple contracts with different agencies and we are expanding on those agencies. And again, we start very, very small. For example, the HHS. We started with a $1 contract for PPP, right? Distribution of PPP and COVID relief and vaccines, stuff like that. And then we expanded. We hit this $90 million contract. And right now we're vying for a $500 million, possibly $1 billion contract with the HHS, which I'll get into in just a moment. Now that we're talking about health, we have a health sector in Palantir, domestically, abroad, military, non-military, okay? It's our third largest sector. We closed some notable deals. Multi-year, multi-million-dollar deal with Tampa Hospital. Multi-year, multi-million-dollar deal with Cleveland Clinic. Multi-year, multi-million-dollar contracts with Sampo. Multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract with Concordance. Multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract with NIH. Multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract with CDC. Multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract with the HHS. The list goes on and on. There's a couple of more that I definitely missed. Concordance is the largest private supply chain distribution when it comes to medical, both military, non-military, government, non-government, domestically, and abroad. They are freaking massive. There was an article that just came out. This article was from the London Times, UK Times. They hate Palantir there, right? The woke mob hate Palantir. Like, they really hate. They shit on Palantir. So they're not going to be doing Palantir any favors, right, whatsoever. So if they write an article about Palantir that happens to be a positive article, you know for damn sure this is a 100% legitimate article, because they wouldn't be doing anything for Palantir otherwise. So Palantir currently has a pilot program, and the hospital is called Northminster, I believe, something like that, Northminster Hospital, if I'm not mistaken. And they're working with the HHS, and they're probably going to take this pilot program and actually put it across all of their hospitals. Why? The pilot program reduced wait times by 2 days. So if you make an appointment and you have cancer, God forbid, you need an appointment ASAP, whether it's a severe case or a mild case or a case that can be cured. 2 days is huge. I worked with a cancer doctor, right, where he did chemo and stuff. Literally hours can make a difference. I don't want to over dramatize this, but 2 days is freaking huge. And this is 2 days now. I guarantee you they can reduce it by another 2 days in the future. Why? How did they reduce it? Before, they have, you know, all your files on a piece of paper, and you got to go through files, and there's a lot of errors. Call it the analog. And now they're digitizing it, but they're digitizing it through a specific point, a funnel. And Palantir is that funnel. And this is not me, it's the article saying that Palantir reduced errors in paperwork by 56%. By 56%. I guarantee you that that number is going to go up to at least 75-80% in the future, at the very least, which is going to probably save them another day or two from where we are right here. Could you imagine saving 3 to 4 days of time in between an appointment for cancer? It's huge, really, really huge. Now imagine they could now implement the HHS services and reduce wait times, not just for cancer, but also reduce wait times for emergency procedures, non-emergency procedures. Just make your life a little bit more comfortable. Now, I'm not in the UK, but I heard that the healthcare system, although it's free, it's absolutely rubbish. It's trash. It's absolute shite. That's what I heard. So if they can help, this is who they're going to go with. This is why I believe Palantir is going to get this contract. As much hate as they're getting, everyone's like, oh, Palantir, blah, 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 blah. Palantir is going to get this contract. At the end of the day, it's, do you want to be woke and hate on Palantir just to hate on Palantir? Or do you want to save lives? And I say this to all the haters. They save lives. So the haters, you guys can clip this video. Palantir saves lives. And that's not me saying this. This is the UK London Times, whatever the article was. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I can always produce the article. 2 days of wait time for appointments, reduced your inefficiencies by 56%, reduced your errors by 56%. Now, in order to actually get these contracts, or try to get these contracts, Palantir actually hired 2 C-level executives, or highest level executives. One of them was actually in charge of like AI technology for the HHS. And they hired 2 of these people, right? Like ex-directors or deputy directors, some of that levels, like high levels, in order to try to get this HHS contract. I don't see how they're not going to get the HHS contract. And if they don't, there's definitely going to be a problem. It's like people want to complain and bitch and get woke instead of save lives. It makes no freaking sense. I want to take a moment right now to talk a little bit about Ukraine. I speak Russian. I'm half Ukrainian, half Russian. I live in Brooklyn. If anybody's from New York, you guys understand the Russian community here. And by Russian, that means everybody who speaks Russian language. Anybody from Soviet Union, we call us the Russian community. So it's not like Russian, it's anybody that speaks Russian language, which is everybody from Soviet Union. I read articles. I read, bad, but I can read. I speak decent, conversational. I could speak, no problem. I was there. I was in Ukraine. I was in Russia many times. And in the beginning of this war, nothing about Palantir. Just Palantir community and Dr. Alex Karp talking about what's happening in Europe, the war, after, addressing the situation. All of a sudden, you start seeing articles in Russian, the Russian tongue, talking about, hey, Ukraine is doing decent because they have third-party help. And the third-party help is from a American company that combs through data, right? But they didn't mention Palantir and anything more than that. I watched an interview with a Russian news anchor speaking to the general of, or not general, like a high-level, somebody high-level in the military for Luhansk People's Republic, which is in that area called Donbass, right? It's broken down to 4 areas, and that's one of the areas. And the reporter asked him in plain Russian, hey, let me ask you a question. I'm not criticizing you, but why is it that Russia is moving meter by meter and Ukraine is moving village to village? Which means, in translation, why are we at a snail's crawl while they're making strides every single day? And he says, look, we're not just fighting Ukraine, we're fighting NATO, but he doesn't mean NATO in NATO troops, like NATO technology and support. And he specifically says, and they have a company from America that's giving them data. And that company is telling them when to attack, where to be, and where not to be. So he says, when we're trying to get the best possible plan of attack, they already realizing what we're trying to do. And when we're going one place, they know where to go to get the most ideal attack on us. Again, not mentioning Palantir. All of a sudden, in the last 3 weeks or so, you have a ton of Palantir articles in English and in Russian talking about Palantir in Ukraine. So the articles were about Ukraine, how Ukraine is possibly fighting Russia, and a lot of these articles are in Russian tongue. 2 of them were mentioned by Dr. Alex Karp in his shareholder letter, end of the year, and Washington Post, London Times, and I'm paraphrasing, basically says, Palantir is changing the way modern warfare is being fought. And that's exactly what Dr. Alex Karp said. He says, yo, things are changing now. You can't just spend your entire budget on military might. You got to spend some of your budget on technology that allows you to avoid fighting. Technology that your enemy is going to be scared of that says, hey, we not necessarily want to attack you. We just want to make it very difficult if you attack us. And now it's being mentioned by name in Russian articles, in American articles, in NATO articles, in European articles, Ukrainian articles, literally Palantir. Now, again, for the haters, if this did not make sense, why would the UK spend £75 million hiring Palantir to modernize their army? Why, if it's not working? Of course it's working. They are our greatest ally in that area. Germany says that they're increasing their spending for NATO, 2% of GDP. And they're going to be spending 100 billion euro on their own personal military. So there's NATO military and your country's military. 2 different things. Spain says they're going to be increasing their contribution to NATO, 2% as well. 2% is the standard that you're supposed to be contributing to NATO. This is what Donald Trump, hate him, love him, whatever, he was complaining, hey, America contributes so much money to NATO and the other countries are not paying their share. I want other countries to pay their share as well. And that's why there's a common misconception, and I understand where it comes from, that NATO army is really American army. But that's why America says what happens, because America spends the most money. And we need to spend the most money because this is our form of modern day imperialism. We have a strong military. It is what it is. Like it or not, we live in America. Dr. Alex Karp had a really big problem of banging desks and being irate when he speaks. Nobody understands me, blah, 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 yada, yada. And a lot of Palantir shareholders were so angry, even saying, hey, let's split the company into commercial and government. In the last 3 months, it is evident that Dr. Alex Karp, either he's doing it himself, like he did some yoga and he's calming down, or he hired a consultant. I think he hired a consultant to teach him how to speak in public. And he is probably 80% better than he was before. I only heard him bang a desk like once or get angry this whole last like 3 months after the last earnings call or something like that, right? So he is now playing the game, not checkers, but chess. And he's becoming a little bit more likable, which means Palantir is becoming a little bit more likable. If he keeps doing this, Palantir is going to get more contracts. They're going to open up the door a little bit more. Also, there's going to be an election. If the election is going to bring Republicans, not Democrats, and I'm not being political, this is going to help Palantir drastically, immensely. Palantir is being held back by Democrats because Peter Thiel is one of the founders. Peter Thiel is a huge supporter of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the face of the Republican Party. Like it or not, he's the face of the Republican Party. They're probably going to elect somebody else, nominate somebody else, not Donald Trump, probably Dos Santos. But if the Republican Party is going to win, Palantir is going to get even more contracts. That's what I believe. Consequently, same thing is going to happen to Tesla. Tesla's going to do a lot better if Republicans win. Without being political. Some people hate when I talk about this, but I'm like, yo, politics is part of making money. You pick your team, you're either right or wrong. Same way like you're picking your team for a stock, a company. That company is also picking a team in politics. Believe it or not, this is what's happening, guys, right? So let's just be honest and serious about this. Palantir has something called a Federal Advisory Board, where they're literally hiring the top 100 key players in government. I'm talking about generals and admirals and secretary of states and deputies of all of those high-level ranking officials that worked for the White House, like literally the top 100 people, top 500 people in America, like really big names. And I made a video about this. You guys can check it out. I'll leave a link right here if you guys want, or I'll link it at the end of this video. I don't know. They hired this advisory board so that they can keep getting government contracts, so they can keep growing. Now, Dr. Alex Karp was on an interview. He says that the total addressable market for military is $900 billion plus. By 2026, it was estimated by Bank of America that the military spending in the United States is going to be $1 trillion. Right now, it's around $800 billion. United States spends more than the other 9. So there's top 10. United States spends more than the other 9. Okay? United States, number 1. And the other 9 combined is less than what America spends. It's a huge business. So a lot of people think that Palantir can't get commercial clients, commercial contracts, some of them because of the military. I believe the military actually helps Palantir get contracts. And I'll use an example, the healthcare system. If they weren't working with NIH, CDC, HHS, they wouldn't be working with Tampa Hospital, Cleveland Hospital, Sampo, and Concordance. They wouldn't. That's my personal opinion. You know, feel free to argue down below. And that's what's happening right now with Palantir. I just want to finish up with telling you guys $2.4 billion in cash, $950 million revolving credit line, $1 billion plus in contracts on top of that. And that possibly they're going to get that money if they complete contracts or there's extensions, so on and so forth. And Palantir has nearly 2,000 patents. 2,000 patents. Palantir keeps getting more patents on their technology. You start a patent now, and the patent is actually going to be published 2 years from now, approximately. It takes a little bit of time, but it's just a testament of how much technology Palantir comes out with. Palantir had Gotham, then they have Foundry, then they have Apollo, Meta Constellation, lots of things that they're working on. Palantir is going to keep innovating. So Dr. Alec Karp said, listen, guys, you think we're not growing or expanding. We are. He says, by the time we're going to max out our total addressable market in a specific product that we offer, we're already making another product to move forward. Also, impact level 6. Only them, Microsoft, and Amazon have this clearance. It's huge. That's why I don't understand how people can call Palantir a shit company. I get it. You don't like Palantir. You don't like their financials. But to call them a complete fraud shit meme company is ridiculous. Like, if somebody were to be like, yo, Palantir sucks with numbers, I wouldn't even be mad. I'll be like, all right, that's cool. That's your opinion. But to say Palantir is a shit company with level 6 clearance, protecting our country militarily at the highest levels, protecting foreign countries, our biggest allies, at the highest level in the military? How? When there's articles talking about Palantir is literally saving lives, not just the cancer by 2 days, right? But tons of different things. The PPP distribution, the vaccine distribution. So then there's some haters that might be like, oh, vaccine. But let's talk about PPP, right? Personal protective equipment, PPE. I always say PPP. PPE. Let's talk about that. That saved lives, right? You can't say that a mask did not save lives. Even if it didn't help you with corona, let's say it helped you with a flu or some other type of diseases. And they were able to distribute this to millions and millions of people practically overnight. Palantir has a bright future ahead of them. I don't know if the price is going to go lower. It quite possibly can. I'm not a rah, sis, boom, bah. Never was. However, I do believe Palantir is an amazing company. Besides for that, in the commercial, they literally saved $200 million, $200 million for Tyson Foods. Tyson Food invested a couple of million. They saved $200 million. This is not me saying this. This is the CTO of Tyson Foods. Tyson Food is the first largest food distributor in the country and first or second in the world, if I'm not mistaken. They're massive. This is not me saying it. That's them saying it. Then you have people, the engineering firm, Jacobs Engineering, I believe, saying that we had a power plant that was super efficient by industry standards, highly efficient. Palantir was able to squeeze out an additional 20% efficiency because Palantir does proactive, not reactive. Let's fix it before it happens, not after it happens. Guys, this is why everybody who uses Palantir gets something out of them. Now, Palantir did F up a lot, the SPACs, but they only messed up because the entire market went down. If the market would have went up, they would have been geniuses. But listen, you live and you learn. For me, Palantir is an amazing company. For somebody else, it might suck. But if Palantir sucks, tell me it sucks because of the numbers. Don't tell me it sucks because Palantir is a meme. Don't tell me it sucks that Palantir is shit. Don't tell me it sucks that it doesn't do anything. That doesn't make sense. If you tell me the numbers don't make sense, I would respect that argument. But to say Palantir is worthless, I think your debating is worthless. And I think that your statement is worthless. Guys, Happy New Year's to everybody. Spend time with your family. You guys are my family. And I wanted to give a shout out to a couple of people. Twitter personalities. A lot of people don't get credit in Twitter. Shout out to Rachie. Shout out to Ether Squared. Shout out to Lord Grimm. Shout out to Chad Palantir. Shout out to Palantir's Palantir. And shout out to the Palantir Discord. If I missed anybody, I apologize. These are people that I follow. These are people that help me so much with a lot of information for my videos. Shout out to a bunch of YouTubers. First and foremost, shout out to my man, Amit. Love Amit. He put me on his show. Got me some subscribers. Got me some clout. I really appreciate it. Helped me out, right? Didn't know me from a hole in the wall. Shout out to Tom Nash to covering Palantir. Shout out to my man, Arnie Investing. Shout out to my man, Emmanuel. Shout out to my man, Chris Patel. We have a bet for $2,000. Snowflake or Palantir, who does better until the end of next year. So 1 year from now. It's going to be very, very interesting. Shout out to Dartons, his whole team, everybody, his whole squad. Shout out to Palatrillion or AKA Jay, who no longer covers it. But shout out, man. He had a lot of cool videos when it came out to Palantir. Shout out to Coach Trap. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to anybody that I missed. I'm sure that I missed a lot of. Shout out to my man Emmanuel, of course. Shout out to my man Emmanuel. Him and Arnie do amazing things, come on my show. I really do appreciate them. And shout out to anybody else who I missed out on. Shout out to Shasa Yanshin too, bro. Shout out to him too. He did a really good coverage of Palantir. He left, but it was really fun to hear him criticize Palantir, and I'm not trying to troll him. It's good to get a different of opinion. Shout out to Felix and Friends. He covers Palantir as well. And anybody else that I missed, I really do apologize. I wanted to say before I end this video, Happy New Year's to all of you guys. I want to say Happy New Year's to my girl. I want to say Happy New Year's to my beautiful, beautiful son. I love him so, so much. And Happy New Year's to my unborn baby who's going to be here shortly. I'm getting a baby girl besides from my baby boy. I am blessed. Probably my boy was the only good thing of 2022. And my girl is probably going to be the best thing of 2023. Guys, thank you so much to all of you guys. You guys support me. You guys give me strength. Without you guys, I couldn't do any of this. And yeah, man, I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much. Please like, share, subscribe. And if you guys want to see some more videos, please click on this right now. I hope my next video is going to be in my new studio. And you guys are going to appreciate all the effort and time that I'm putting into my editing and effort and time that I'm putting into my videos. Have a great day.